Hello viewers, this is Bhaskar welcoming you back to Bhaskar's Insurance for You and Me series. In this episode, we will discuss about the concept of pre-existing disease in health insurance. We need to understand as to what is meant by pre-existing disease, why is it important to know, how is this impacting the claim admissibility under health insurance. As you are aware, the coverage under any insurance policy is restricted by means of certain exclusions. Pre-existing disease condition in health insurance policy is one such important exclusion. It is observed that many of the claim repudiations and consumer disputes under health insurance arise due to lack of understanding of the exclusion on the part of insured and absence of understanding leading to wrong application of the exclusion by the insurer. Hence, it is important for the consumer to understand both the letter and spirit of this exclusion so that they can understand the admissibility of their claims and fight for their rightful claims if and when needed. The pre-existing disease is to be analyzed under the policy from two aspects. What is the meaning of the term as per the policy wordings, and what is the cover provided for pre-existing disease under the policy? The meaning of pre-existing disease and its exclusion from the cover under health insurance has undergone a lot of changes in the last many years. I'm now showing a few past wordings which will help us to understand the present cover with clarity in the following slides. Basically, these slides give you the wordings about what is pre-existing disease as defined in those days and what is the exclusion pertaining to the pre-existing disease. The current wordings which is applicable for the pre-existing disease, it is based on the standardization of certain policy terms by IRDA. Defines the pre-existing disease as the pre-existing disease means any condition, ailment, injury, or disease that is diagnosed by a physician within 48 months prior to the effective date of the policy issued by the insurer or its reinstatement, for which medical advice or treatment was recommended by or received from a physician within 48 months prior to the effective date of the policy issued by the insurer or its reinstatement. Similarly, the exclusion here talks of the coverage for pre-existing disease being provided after the expiry of 48 months of continuous cover for any pre-existing disease. We will see the details now. There an improvement in the coverage over the years from the definitions what I have shown you, the four definitions. The analysis of the evolution of these wordings indicate two clear improvements in the coverage for pre-existing disease over a period of time. These are any disease which was pre-existing at the time of taking first health insurance policy was treated as a pre-existing disease under earlier policy, irrespective of the time lapsed between occurrence of the pre-existing sickness and policy commencement. However, in the current policies, as per the standard wordings being used, disease which has occurred within a period of 4 years before policy commencement only is treated as pre-existing disease. If the time lapsed between occurrence of the disease and policy commencement is more than 4 years, it is no more considered as pre-existing disease as per the wordings. Similarly, if any disease was pre-existing at the time of taking health insurance policy, earlier the same was excluded forever under the insurance. However, under current policies, the period for which such pre-existing diseases are excluded is restricted to 4 years. Since the current definition of pre-existing disease is part of standardized wordings, the definition applies for health insurance products by any insurer in India. Hence, the above interpretation also applies to all the insurance products. Now, we need to understand the pre-existing disease cover a bit more detail. The current definition and exclusion relating to the pre-existing disease can be summarized as follows. Basically, it means that any condition or disease diagnosed within 48 months prior to policy starting date is considered as pre-existing disease. The policy starting date means the date of commencement of the policy for the first time, subject to the insurance being continued or renewed without any break in cover. For example, if you are taking health insurance for the first time effective from 1st January 2024, any sickness suffered during the period of 1st January 2020 to 31st December 2023 will only be considered as a pre-existing disease for the policy taken effective from 1st January 2024. If you have suffered any sickness in 2019 or 18, that is not considered as pre-existing disease. The cover for pre-existing disease will be available after completion of 48 months of waiting period from the date of commencement of cover. So, exclusion for the pre-existing disease will be applicable for the period 1st January 2024 to 31st December 2027 for the example which we have given earlier, where the policy commences on 1st January 2024. The disease stands insured from 1st January 2028 onwards, subject to the insurance policy being renewed without any break in cover till that time. So this period of 48 months, what I have referred here, it can vary from product to product. It's a product specific parameter. This cover after 1st January 2028 is subject to the condition that the details of the pre-existing disease must have been declared in the proposal form at the time of proposing for insurance and must have been accepted by the insurer without imposing any permanent exclusions. Now, if there were any pre-existing disease at the time of taking the policy, what happens to the coverage? In case you have suffered from any sickness which fits into the definition of pre-existing disease as above, at the time of proposing for health insurance, you must disclose the same to the insurance company. The company would evaluate the disease as per their proposal processing guidelines or the underwriting guidelines and decide either to accept the proposal or to reject the proposal if the pre-existing disease is so severe that it does not fit into their guidelines, or to accept the proposal with permanent exclusion for the pre-existing disease after approval for the permanent exclusions from you. Now, the insurance company can impose permanent exclusions only in respect of certain diseases which are listed by the insurance regulator, that is IRDAI, in their guidelines to the insurers. Some examples for pre-existing disease which are permitted to be permanently excluded by insurers are malignant neoplasm, epilepsy, cardiovascular diseases, pancreatic disease, chronic kidney disease, etc., falling under certain listed ICD codes only. So the permanent exclusions cannot be imposed for any sundry disease. It has to be as per the listed sicknesses in the IRDA guideline. Supposing if there is a non-disclosure of the pre-existing condition in the proposal form, what happens? If the non-disclosure of the pre-existing disease surfaces during the policy period, there are different options for the insurers. In case you do not disclose the pre-existing disease in the proposal form and the insurer has accepted the proposal form and issued the policy, the company has a right to invoke the cancellation clause of the policy and cancel the policy for non-disclosure or misdeclaration. The client will end up forfeiting all benefits under the policy. The insurer also has the option to continue the policy after imposing permanent exclusion subject to guidelines for imposing the additional waiting period or charging additional premium based on the applicable guidelines. However, if the moratorium period of continuous cover period of 8 years is completed from the date of commencement of cover for the first time, that is when the insurance was taken first for the first time, if 8 years period is over, no look back can be applied. But this condition is subject to the exception that looking back is permitted in case of fraud. Safeguards to be taken to avoid claim getting prejudiced due to the pre-existing diseases. One of the fundamental principles of insurance, which we have discussed earlier, is principle of utmost good faith. For a hassle-free claim process, follow the good faith principle faithfully. When you fill the proposal form for health insurance, provide actual information of your health. Full and correct information about your health is available with you only. Please check, recall your health records, and fill the proposal form correctly against all the questions in the proposal form. If there are any adverse health conditions in the past and you believe that you have fully recovered from the same, enclose all additional information to the proposal form so that the insurance company can evaluate the proposal with better data. This could help the insurer to review the proposal positively for acceptance. Come under the wrong influence of people who might suggest you to suppress the past disease history. This can prove costly for you at the time of claim. Retain a copy of the proposal form. When you receive the policy copy from the insurance company, go through it carefully and check to ensure that no unnecessary additional exclusions or warranties or permanent exclusions are included in the policy schedule. Renew the policy without any break in cover. In this episode, we have seen various aspects pertaining to pre-existing diseases under health insurance. We'll continue the discussion on health insurance in the next episode with some more details on the product. Until then, bye from Bhaskar.